sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You got any plans on this election day? You busy?
Just a few things going on.
Not getting a lot of rest, but a lot on your plate, and we speak to you on this very important day as a lot of people are on their way to cast their vote. And I wonder, what is your message to them as they're maybe in their cars as we speak?
Well, the first thing is, regardless of who you're voting for, our democracy works when the American people get involved. And, the American people are decent, they're hardworking, they've got great instincts. The more people participate, the better the outcome. And the second message is just to remind people that, when I came into office, we were losing hundreds of thousands of jobs. We were in the middle of two wars, going through the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've battled back, and we've got an economy that's now growing. Housing starts picking up. We are reducing our imports of foreign oil. We're improving our education system, making college more accessible. We're moving in the right direction, but we've got a lot more work to do. And the plans I've put forward to improve our education system, make sure that young people can afford to go to school, invest in technology and innovation and clean energy, and as we're ending these wars, use some of that money to do some nation building here at home and reduce our deficit in a responsible way. Those are things that will make a real difference in people's lives. So I hope that people give me the opportunity to serve the American people for 4 more years. It's been a great privilege, and I think I can continue to do some good.
Well, you mentioned education, and I've spoken to quite a few college kids who want to know if when they do graduate from college, they will get a job and be able to have a job. So what do you say to them?
Well, what we've seen is, over the last 32 months, 5.5 million new jobs created, and the unemployment rate steadily moving down. And so job prospects for young people, especially if they're getting some sort of second or some sort of advanced degree, whether it's at a community college or at a 4-year college, the prospects of young people are going to be great. But it's going to be very important that we continue this progress. And a lot of the debate during this campaign is, do we go back to the policies that got us into trouble in the first place, or do we make investments in things like helping young people afford college, make investments in the kinds of research and technology that create the platforms for new businesses like Google and Yahoo, and that's the kind of forward-looking strategy that I think is really going to make a difference for the next generation. And obviously, we've got more progress to make, but I'm confident we can make it.
Now, Mr. President, you said that you want your daughters to have the same opportunities as anybody's sons do. So how often do you factor in your daughters when you make a decision as president?
It does make a difference to me. The first bill I signed was called the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, named after a woman who had worked for years and doing the same job as men was getting paid less. And so we made it easier for women to get justice when they're not paid the same on the job. And, I think about my daughters in that situation. I don't want them treated differently if they're doing a great job. I don't want them paid less. I think about my mom, a single mom who was raising me, and
teenage girls that listen to us want to know, if you're still in the White House, will there be dating allowed in this next term?
You know, I think that...
Can you imagine being the boy?
I think that any young man who's got the guts to get through Secret Service, deserves a hearing. But, the truth is, Malia and Sasha are just wonderful young ladies. They're smart, they're funny, and most importantly, they're kind and they're respectful to everybody. And all they want to do is just be treated like everybody else. And, I embarrass them all the time by...
It's your job.
Yeah, it's my job. And but so Michelle is very good about making sure that we're creating a space for them where they can just, have sleepovers. They can go to the mall. They can go to the movies. They're going to homecomings at their school. They're playing sports. And, what I very much appreciated is the press actually has been good about leaving them alone. And hopefully that continues because, that's what young people need more than anything else is just space to find themselves and to fit in without too much attention.
So, Mr. President, as we get close to these final hours and the decision will be made shortly and we'll know the results, do you get anxious? Do you get nervous? What's the feeling that you have?
Well, I think anybody who's running for office would be lying if they say that there's not some butterflies before the polls come in, because anything can happen. That's the magic of democracy is that it's up to the people to decide. But at a certain point, you get calm because if you've done everything you can do, then the process is working the way it's supposed to, which is power now resides with individual voters. They get to make a decision. They can choose between the approach I have for building an economy that's good for middle-class families and folks who are striving to get in the middle class or economic policies that are better for those folks at the top. They can decide how important it is to them that politicians in Washington are making decisions about women's health care issues. They can make decisions about whether it's important for us to end the war in Afghanistan and bring our troops home and make sure our veterans get the services they need. So, the great thing about our country is the most important office is the office of citizen. And, for all the millions of people all across the country to be able to, take that one day and cast their ballot and say this is the direction we want our country to go in, that's what's made us the greatest country on earth.
And by the way, if you still don't know where to go to vote, you can go to gottavote.org for all the information on a polling place near you. And before I let you go, because I know you've got to move on, if you win the election, have you picked out the song that you and the First Lady will dance to?
Well, now that's a tough choice, and I think I will have to consult with my wife. But last time out, Beyonce sang "At Last" Etta James' classic, and that was a pretty good choice. Whatever it is, it's got to be a slow song, so I can put my moves on.
Put the moves on. Put the moves on Flotus.
Something a little romantic,
I got you.
I haven't seen her a lot lately. I've been on the road too much.
When I sat with her for the Today Show, I found out her guilty pleasure is the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Do you have one that keeps you going when you're working around the clock?
My weakness is nachos. If I get nachos and guacamole, I can go to town on that. So I ask my team to restrict my intake. If they put it in front of me, it's gone.
Well, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. And the message again, get out and vote. Gottavote.org for a polling place near you. Mr. President, thank you.
So much, guys. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I mean, in the wake of my Tito's over the weekend, the conversation of nachos tempting me on my diet. But I didn't get nachos. I didn't see nachos at Tito's. By the way, we've extended the invitation to Governor Romney to come on as well. Have yet to get confirmation, but if we do, today, on air.
I wonder what he eats.
I hope we get to find out before 10.
KIIS FM. Another KIIS VIP.